the hidden reasons you're unhappy in your life and how to fix them. In today's video, I have 3 hidden reasons that is probably contributing to your unhappiness and fixes for each and every one of them. The first being emotional issues. And when I say emotional issues, the 2 specific things I'm referring to within emotional issues are holding on to past mistakes and pushing away other emotions. So first, we'll start with holding on to past mistakes. Holding on to past mistakes looks like perfectionism, dwelling and just overthinking on things that you did on the past, or maybe regret. And the thing is, this can lead to a lot of self-blame and unhappiness. So with perfectionism, what it looks like is maybe you get a 99% on a test, or you do great on a work project, but you're only worried about what you did wrong. Dwelling, you made some minor mistake and you just continue to run through it over and over and over. Or maybe you think about a mistake and you're like, I wish I could change that. I wish I didn't regret that. And when those thoughts go through your head, it creates a lot of unhappiness. And so with regret, the way I've gotten over regret is just to reframe it. I actually don't have any regrets in my life because I believe that any action that I take just contributes to my story and makes my story that much better. When it comes to perfectionism and dwelling, with perfectionism, what I had to do is I had to go from what am I doing wrong to what I'm doing right. So I had to make that shift of, okay, you know what, I'm telling myself I'm doing all the things wrong, completely flip that thought on its head is, what am I doing right? What's my evidence about what I'm doing right? And that has helped a lot. The second piece within emotional issues is pushing away other emotions. So what I mean by this is that me in the past personally, I know that I just used to chase happiness. And when I say happiness, I mean state happiness. The way I think of state happiness is joy. So specifically that feeling when you get good news or when you accomplish something. I would chase that emotional high all the time. And what would happen then is when I was chasing that emotional high, I would push away anger, I'd push away sadness, push away fear, and I would tell myself it's not okay to feel those things. The problem was when I did that, I would only expect to feel happy, which is not true for the human state. It's not normal for humans to feel that way all the time, and I would be really hard on myself about it. So maybe you're feeling that way. Maybe you're feeling like, ooh, I feel like fear is wrong, or I feel like sadness is wrong. The thing is, you want to accept those emotions, because when you accept them, you then will be able to accept happiness fully, and you won't always be chasing that short-term high. So the way to fix emotional issues, quiet time. That's been huge for me. So what I mean quiet time, when you're driving, if you just turn off the radio, sit outside on your deck, enjoy the nature, whatever. If you could find time in our super busy world to take time and just absolute silence and just let your mind run a little bit, that can be really helpful. It can help you run through some of these thoughts and some of these feelings, some of these things you might be dwelling on. On top of this, simple acceptance. You have to accept and understand that you're gonna make mistakes in your life. That's okay. Successful people make just as many mistakes as unsuccessful people. It's how they react to them. So you have to accept that you're gonna make mistakes, and it's just gonna add to your story. It's gonna make a better story. As well as, if you're struggling with this a little bit more, therapy and coaching can be really helpful outlets to overcome some of these emotional issues. The second hidden reason why you might be unhappy is lack of purpose or direction. Within lack of purpose or direction, I specifically mean maybe you feel drifting or you're unclear on what you're working on. So a good example for me is I burnt out about a month and a half ago at this point. And when I was going through that burnout, it was because that I'd been working for a year and a half with no days off, and I never pulled my head out of the water. I was always on that treadmill, and I had realized that I had moved from what I felt my purpose was to working on things that were simply for status or for money. And so my purpose is to help people go from victim to victor so they can live a life on their terms. I had shifted from that purpose to working just for money and trying to get that status and just trying to make a lot of money. And it took a really big toll on me. So I was unclear, and that created some unhappiness. And when I say unhappiness, the way I think of unhappiness is that for me, I'm always focused on making the most out of my life. And making the most out of life means fulfilling my purpose, which is helping people with that mindset, as well as taking care of my family and doing everything at 100% excellence. So that's my purpose, and I had gotten away from that a little bit. So that's how I think about happiness. I don't think about happiness about, oh, I want to feel really good. I think about happiness as, am I doing those things that I just listed? And so I sensed that I wasn't doing those things, and it created a lot of cognitive dissonance in my mind, and I really struggled with that. So if maybe you're drifting through life and you don't have goals, stuff like that, that can contribute to your unhappiness or feel like you're not making the most out of your life. The second piece is misalignment with values. If you don't feel like you're doing day-to-day things that align with your values, that can create a lot of cognitive dissonance as well. When I say cognitive dissonance, you think one thing and you have these beliefs, but then your actions do not mirror that, so it creates this mismatch and it creates frustration internally. So for me, with Costco, is my day job, I was working and I felt like I wasn't contributing to my long-term goals, and that contributed to my burnout, created massive anxiety. So what I had to do is I had moved to the sales department, so I was feeling like I was getting meaningful experiences that contribute to me later in my life, things like that. Also, I was working with a client of mine who she felt like she was not working at the right company because she really felt like customer first, felt like she wanted to do a great job serving the customers, but her company she was working at was focused on money, profits, things of that nature. Excuse me. And so with that, when you get that dissonance of not being able to align with your values, that can create a lot of unhappiness and feel like you're not making the most of your life. The way to fix these things is, again, quiet time. Quiet time can be great for you to refine what is your purpose and what do you focus on. And that's what I had to do to realign myself so I was focused on the right things. As well as setting an XYZ statement. XYZ statements are really powerful. Basically, it states, for X time period, I will do Y action, expecting Z result. So maybe you feel directionless in your life and you don't have goals. Maybe you just want to get in really good shape, and that's, what you feel like your season of goals is, to get really good shape. So I will go to the gym for 2 years, expecting to lose 50 pounds. Whatever, that could be your XYZ statement. As well as if you feel like directionless, you can take the balance tool in the description below. It's a really great tool because it breaks down your professional, relationships, resources, and health, and you get a really good direction and set some goals around that. And I do that every year, in fact. The third and the final piece is that you're comparing yourself to others. This is something I really struggled with from about 19 to 21. I would compare myself to my peers, to influencers on social media, and it really put me in a dark place because I felt like I wasn't doing anything, or at least I felt like I wasn't making meaningful progress towards my goals and who I want to be. So that can contribute to a lot of unhappiness, or feel like you're not making the most out of your life when you're comparing yourself to people on social media, or comparing yourself in your friend group, or comparing yourself to someone you know. And so when you do compare yourself to others' possessions, jobs, money, whatever, it can make it hard to appreciate what you currently have, and you start to live out of a mindset of scarcity instead of abundance. So the way to fix this is to limit your social media. That's a big step that I took. Instead of spending hours a day on social media, now I spend maybe 15 minutes. And that's been a big help in not comparing myself to others, as well as I've unfollowed all influencers that would make me have that comparison. On top of that, what you can do is focus on the work. And I got this from Alex Hormozy, that the work is the goal. So I used to be so focused on, okay, so if I do this work, I'll make this money. Or if I do this work, I'll get this status. So the outcome was still the goal. And I'm still working on this. But now I focus to literally my only goal is the quality and quantity of my work. Can I make my work better? And can I do more of that work? It's really worked for me for being able to do that. It's the one sticky note I have in my office that says the work is the goal. Focusing on that has been a huge fix on not comparing myself to my others, because it makes the journey completely internal. I'm not focused about the money. I'm not focused about the status. I'm working on the quality and quantity of my work. So all I really focus on is I track my hours I work per week, and I have a little leaderboard with the top 5 weeks I've done. And so with that, I just track how many hours I've worked, and then I can take a log of my percentage of that, of my focus and my output within that work. So that's the quality metric. Quantity metric is how many hours I work. And that's really worked for me when I'm not focusing on other things. So however you can do that for yourself. Maybe it's your own weight. Maybe it's how many dates you go on with your spouse. That's all work focused. With the weight, it would be how many reps and sets you do. But if you can focus and make the work the goal, it can be really helpful. And then if you want to get motivated, the way you get motivated, again, this is from Hormozy, is that for psychological motivation, what you have to do is it's your comparison point. That's how you become psychologically motivated. So if you want to make more money, you compare yourself to those who make more money than you do. So once you can get it in line, the work is the goal, then you can create that comparison with yourself in a healthy way to then drive that motivation and help you achieve it more. So those are the hidden reasons of why you're unhappy and how to fix them. If that was helpful, please leave a comment and I'll make more videos like this.